The Midnight Intruder, a chilling encounter in room 214. Liam Jacobs wasn't proud of storming out of his parents' house that night. The argument with his father had escalated beyond control, and he needed space. Driving aimlessly through the small, sleepy town of Ridgeview, he stumbled upon a weathered sign pointing to Ridgeview Lodge. It wasn't luxurious, but it promised a bed and some quiet, a perfect refuge for the night. The lodge was a modest 2-story building with flickering neon letters that seemed to groan under their own weight. The receptionist, a tired-looking middle-aged man, handed Liam the key to room 215 without much conversation. The room was as nondescript as the building. Faded floral wallpaper, a creaky double bed, and an antique armchair that looked like it hadn't been moved in decades. Liam dropped his duffel bag on the floor and flopped onto the bed, scrolling through his phone in an attempt to distract himself from the gnawing guilt of the argument. Outside, the wind howled, rattling the windows. He tried to ignore it, but a strange sensation crept over him, a feeling of being watched. Shaking it off as paranoia, Liam decided to shower. As the hot water steamed up the tiny bathroom, he thought he heard a faint knock on the door. He paused, water dripping into his eyes, straining to listen. There it was again. 3 deliberate knocks. Wrapping a towel around himself, he cautiously approached the door and peered through the peephole. The dim hallway was empty. He opened the door a crack, looking both ways, but there was no one in sight. Dismissing it as a prank or his imagination, he locked the door and went to bed. Hours later, Liam was jolted awake by the sound of the doorknob rattling. His heart pounded as he lay still, staring at the door. The rattling stopped, replaced by a soft scraping noise, as though something was being dragged across the floor outside. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Liam froze. His breath caught in his throat. Standing in the doorway was a woman. Her long black hair hung limp around her face, her pale skin almost glowing in the dim light. She wore a tattered dress that seemed drenched, leaving wet footprints on the carpet. "Who are you? What do you want?" Liam's voice trembled as he scrambled to the far side of the bed. The woman didn't answer. She stepped into the room slowly, her dark eyes locked onto his. Liam's body was paralyzed with fear as she walked to the armchair in the corner and sat down, her gaze never wavering. "Leave! I'll call the police!" he shouted, grabbing his phone. But the moment he looked down to unlock it, she was gone. The chair was empty, the footprints leading to it abruptly ending on the carpet. The door was still slightly ajar, swaying gently as the whispered through the hallway. Terrified, Liam packed his belongings and left the hotel, driving aimlessly until dawn. He later returned to retrieve his wallet, which he'd left behind in his panic. When he described the incident to the receptionist, the man's face turned ashen. "Room 214? You're not the first to see her," the receptionist said in a hushed tone. He explained that years ago, a woman had drowned in the nearby river, and guests in room 214 often reported seeing a soaked, ghostly figure late at night. Liam never stayed in a small-town hotel again, and the memory of the woman still haunts him. He often wonders why she appeared to him, and what would have happened if he hadn't looked away. One thing is certain, he'll never forget the Midnight Intruder in room 214.